Each and every one of us has a story to tell. Might it be a story of our friends, a story we heard in school, a story told by our parents, or might it be a story of our own? Greetings to everyone and thank you for lending your time, for I will be sharing a story. A true to life story where the protagonist is not a prince, not a royal heir, neither a rich and powerful man, but instead is just a normal hard-working student just like you. Now, before I start the story, I need a prologue, yes? Now, when everyone hears the word depression, the first thing that comes to people's minds is sadness, loneliness. But what if I told you that this person I'm talking about right now has a different mindset to everyone's perspectives? How? You'll find out later. Have you ever tried talking to yourself? Have you whispered in silence? Have you ever dealt with depression? Now, these are the questions frequently asked by someone who have dealt with depression. But listen to this next set of questions I'm going to give, which is relevant to our protagonist's story. Have you ever tried talking to yourself and heard the response? Have you ever whispered in your own ears? Do you have a traumatic experience or a memory gap in your brain? Pretty confusing, right? Now, well, you see, our protagonist is suffering the symptoms of what we call DID, or dissociative identity disorder, where one person have multiple personalities inside one body, or he has multiple persons inside his body. It is caused by a traumatic experience back in his past. It's a kind of defense mechanism of the brain in order to forget those memories and move on later in life. But for him, it has become a burden. Why? Because instead of those personalities were made in order to protect him, but instead of just protecting him, they are the ones pulling him down. So instead of just giving up, instead of just letting his personalities take over, he had to motivate himself, inspire himself in order to get the rightful owner, in order to be the rightful owner of his body again. After some time, he was able to accept who he was and who he is. And those symptoms were gladly known to be just as symptoms because they were never completed. His personality disorder had become a past of him. Now, why am I telling you this story? It's simply because if a person like him with a dark past, with a traumatic past, have memory gaps, was able to conquer depression and anxiety, how come normal people like us can't? If a person like him, with multiple personalities, with multiple persons inside one body, was able to conquer his fear and make his illness go away, how come normal persons like us won't be able to cope up with the different situations given by the world? His story just wants to tell the world that no matter what kind of imperfection you have, no matter what kind of dark past you have, no matter what kind of person you have become, depression has no right to go through you. It is simply because you are worthy. His story just wants to tell that in order to defeat depression, one must be able to accept himself, one must be able to accept who he is, who he was and who had he become. One must be able to accept his mistakes and correct them. And everyone, I mean everyone, deserves to be loved and to love. Everyone deserves to be trusted and to trust. Everyone deserves to live and to live life to the fullest. And before I end my speech, I just want to say that in every story, there is a happy ending. And in your story, if you're not happy, it simply means it's not the ending. That's all.